I'm Rebecca Martinez, 28 years old. 3 weeks ago, I woke up in a hospital bed with a fractured collarbone, 3 broken ribs, and a concussion so severe the doctors were worried about brain bleeding. My 6-week-old daughter Emma was with a stranger, a professional newborn care specialist I'd hired from my phone while paramedics were cutting me out of my totaled Honda. The accident wasn't my fault. A delivery truck ran a red light at 60 miles per hour and T-boned my car on the driver's side. The impact sent my vehicle spinning across 4 lanes of traffic. I remember the screech of metal, the explosion of the airbag, and then nothing. Just darkness and the distant sound of sirens. When I regained consciousness in the ambulance, my first words were about Emma. "Hi baby," I whispered through the oxygen mask. 6 weeks old. At home with neighbor. Need someone. The paramedic, a woman in her 40s with kind eyes, squeezed my hand. "We'll help you figure it out. Stay calm." But I couldn't stay calm. Emma was exclusively breastfed. She'd never taken a bottle. My neighbor Mrs. Chin was 72 and had only agreed to watch Emma for the 20-minute drive to the grocery store. Now it had been 40 minutes and I was heading to the ER instead of home. From the ambulance, with shaking hands and vision still blurry, I called my mother. She answered on the 3rd ring. "Rebecca? I'm at the spa." "What is it?" "Mom." My voice cracked. "I've been in a car accident. Bad one. I'm in an ambulance. Emma's at home with Mrs. Chin. Can you please go get her? I don't know when I'll." "An accident?" She sighed deeply, the way she always did when I inconvenienced her. "Rebecca, are you sure it's that serious? You know how you tend to be dramatic about these things." I could hear water running in the background. Spa music. The clink of champagne glasses. "Mom, my car is totaled. I have a head injury. They're taking me to County General. Please, I just need you to get Emma Ann." "County General? That's an hour away from me. I'm getting a seaweed wrap right now. Can't your husband handle this? Marcus is in Dallas for work. He won't land for another 5 hours. Mom, please. She's 6 weeks old. She needs." "Hold on." I heard muffled conversation. Then my sister's voice in the background laughing about something. Mom came back on the line. "Rebecca, your sister and I are leaving tomorrow morning for our Caribbean cruise. We have the pre-cruise spa package today. It's already paid for." My head was pounding. Each word felt like it took all my energy. "Mom, this is an emergency. Your granddaughter needs." "Your sister never has these emergencies, Rebecca." Her voice was sharp now. "Vanessa has 2 children and she's never once called me in a panic about a car accident or a crisis. You need to be more organized. More responsible." Something in my chest cracked, and it wasn't just my broken ribs. "I didn't plan to get hit by a truck, Mom." "Well, you should have contingency plans. That's what responsible parents do. I can't just drop everything every time you have a problem. We've been planning this cruise for 8 months." The ambulance hit a pothole. Pain exploded through my torso. I gasped. "Are you even listening to me?" Mom continued. "This is exactly why I worry about you. Always so chaotic. Always needing to be rescued. I raised you to be independent, but you're still calling mommy every time something goes wrong." The paramedic was watching me, concern clear on her face. She could hear every word through the phone's speaker. "I'm not asking you to cancel your cruise," I said, forcing the words out. "Just to watch Emma for a few hours until I can arrange something else. Please. I'm getting on a ship tomorrow, Rebecca. I need to pack. I need to prepare. Your father and I deserve this vacation. We've worked hard our entire lives. We're not going to let your poor planning ruin our trip." "My poor planning?" My voice broke. "Mom, I was hit by a truck. And I'm sure you're fine. You're talking, aren't you? You're always so dramatic about medical things. Remember when you thought you had appendicitis and it was just gas? Or when you were convinced you had pneumonia and it was a cold?" I closed my eyes. The memory of those times stung differently now. She'd been dismissive then too. Annoyed that I'd bothered her. "This is different. They all were different according to you. Look, I have to go. My wrap is getting cold. Call one of your friends. Or hire a babysitter. You make good money, don't you?" Problem solved. The line went dead. I stared at my cracked phone screen, my mother's contact photo smiling back at me. It was from last Christmas. She was holding Emma, her first grandchild, looking proud for the camera. I'd thought things would be different once Emma was born. that maybe becoming a grandmother would soften her. I was wrong. The paramedic touched my arm gently. Do you have someone else you can call? I scrolled through my contacts with trembling fingers. My best friend Alicia was in Seattle for a conference. Marcus's parents were in Arizona. My neighbor Mrs. Chin couldn't handle a newborn for more than an hour. Then I found it. A business card I'd saved in my phone 6 months ago when I was pregnant and researching childcare options. Elite Newborn Care, 24/7 Emergency Services. With the paramedics' help, I called them. A calm voice answered immediately. Elite Newborn Care, this is Monica. I need help. The words tumbled out. I'm in an ambulance. Car accident. My 6-week-old daughter is at home with an elderly neighbor who can't care for her long term. I need someone now. Someone who can handle an exclusively breastfed baby. Someone who can stay as long as necessary. We can have someone to you within 45 minutes. Where's the baby now? I gave her Mrs. Chen's address. Monica asked calm, professional questions. Did Emma have any medical conditions? Were there supplies at the house? What was my hospital destination? Our specialist Claudia will be there in 40 minutes, Monica said. She's a registered nurse with 15 years of newborn care experience. She'll coordinate with the hospital for pumped milk if you're able, or will provide formula if needed. Don't worry about anything. We've got your daughter. How much will this cost? Our emergency rate is $75 per hour with a 4-hour minimum. But right now you need to focus on getting medical help. We'll handle the rest. I almost cried. Someone was actually helping me. No judgment. No guilt. Just help. Thank you, I whispered. You're welcome, Mama. We'll take care of her like she's our own. If you're enjoying this story and want to hear what happened next, could you take just a second to hit that like button? It really helps me continue creating these stories. The year was chaos. Doctors, nurses, machines beeping, bright lights that made my head throb worse. They did a CT scan of my brain, x-rays of my chest and shoulder. The pain medication made everything fuzzy, but one thought stayed crystal clear. My mother had refused to help her own granddaughter. While they were stitching a gash on my forehead, my phone rang. Marcus. Babe. Oh my God, I just landed and saw your messages. Are you okay? Is Emma okay? I told him everything. The accident. Mom's refusal. The care service I'd hired. Your mom said no? His voice rose. She said no to watching her own grandchild during a medical emergency? She has a cruise tomorrow. I don't give a damn if she has a meeting with the Pope. You were in a car accident. He took a breath. I'm getting a flight back right now. I'll be there in 3 hours. What about your presentation? Screw the presentation. My wife is in the hospital. That's when I started crying. Not because of the pain or the fear, but because Marcus's immediate response showed me what real family was supposed to look like. And it made my mother's rejection hurt even more. After they admitted me for overnight observation, I did something I'd been thinking about since the ambulance ride. Something I'd been too afraid to do for 9 years. I opened my banking app and navigated to automatic payments. There it was. The transfer I set up when I was 19 years old. When I'd gotten my first real job after college and my parents had mentioned they were struggling with their mortgage after Dad's hours got cut. $4,500. Every single month. For 108 months. I'd never told them it was me. The payments went to a separate account I'd set up, then automatically transferred to their mortgage company. They thought Dad's pension had increased. Or that Mom's part-time bookkeeping brought in more than it did. They never asked questions. They just enjoyed their financial stability. That $4,500 paid their entire mortgage with enough left over for their car payment. It's how they could afford spa days and Caribbean cruises and shopping trips with my sister. It's how Dad could retire at 62 instead of working until 65. $4,500 times 108 months. $486,000. I'd paid nearly $500,000 to keep my parents comfortable. And my mother couldn't spare 3 hours to hold her granddaughter while I was in the hospital. I canceled the automatic payment. Then I did something else. I opened a new savings account. I named it Emma's Future. I set up the same automatic transfer, $4,500 per month, but this time to an account for my daughter. The daughter my mother couldn't be bothered to help. My finger hovered over the confirm button for only a second. Then I pressed it. A nurse came in to check my vitals. "You're looking better," she said. "Color's back in your face. I just made a decision I should have made years ago." She smiled. "Those are usually the best kind." Around 8 p.m. there was a knock on my hospital room door. I expected Marcus, but instead a tall man in his 70s walked in. Gray hair, sharp blue eyes, wearing a cardigan despite the California heat. Grandpa. My mother's father. The man who'd taught me to fish, who'd paid for my college textbooks when money was tight, who'd slipped me $200 every birthday, for something special, even after I was an adult. Grandpa. I tried to sit up, wincing. "How did you?" "Mrs. Chen called me." He pulled a chair close to my bed. "Said you'd been in an accident and that my daughter refused to help with the baby. Said she overheard your phone conversation when you stopped by to get Emma earlier." I'd picked up Emma from Mrs. Chen's house before the paramedics took me to the hospital. The care specialist Claudia had met me there. Apparently Mrs. Chen had been horrified by what she'd heard. "Grandpa, I'm okay. Emma's with a professional caregiver. Everything's..." "Stop." His voice was gentle but firm. "Don't do that. Don't minimize what happened." He sat in silence for a moment, just looking at me. Then he said, "Your grandmother and I paid for that cruise." I blinked. "What?" "The Caribbean cruise your mother's been talking about for months. We paid for it. Bought it for her and your father's anniversary. Cost us $12,000 for the premium package." He shook his head. "I thought we were giving them a nice gift. Didn't realize we were funding their excuse to abandon their daughter and granddaughter." "Grandpa, you didn't know. I called your mother an hour ago." His voice hardened. "Told her I knew what she did. You know what she said?" I waited. "She said you were being dramatic. That you were fine. That you'd always been too dependent and needed to learn to handle things yourself." He leaned forward. Then she said, "Emma isn't even my responsibility. Rebecca chose to have a baby. She needs to deal with the consequences." The words hit me like a second collision. "Consequences," I repeated. "She called my daughter a consequence." That's when I told her the cruise was cancelled. My eyes widened. "What?" "I called the cruise line. Cancelled the booking. As the purchaser, I have that right. They're refunding the money to my credit card." He smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Your mother and father will not be going on any cruise tomorrow." "Grandpa, you didn't have to." "Yes, I did." He reached over and took my hand carefully, avoiding the fore. "Rebecca, I need to tell you something. Your grandmother, before she passed, she made me promise to watch out for you. Said she worried about how your mother treated you differently than Vanessa." I felt tears building. I thought maybe she was seeing things that weren't there. Grandmothers can be protective. But over the years I've watched. I've seen the patterns. The way your sister gets praised for the same things you get criticized for. The way your accomplishments get dismissed while hers get celebrated. The way you're always expected to be understanding while she's allowed to be selfish. "It's just how Mom is," I said weakly. "It's how you've let her be. How we all let her be." He squeezed my hand. "Not anymore. Not after this." There was another knock. This time it was Marcus, still in his suit from the conference, carrying flowers and looking frantic. When he saw me, his face crumpled with relief. "I'm okay," I said as he kissed my forehead gently. "We're okay." Grandpa stood up. "I'll give you two some privacy. But Rebecca, before I go, is there anything I should know? Anything else that's been going on?" I hesitated. Then I told him about the $4,500 monthly payments. About the 9 years of financial support. About how I just canceled it. Grandpa's face went very still. "You've been paying their mortgage? And car payment?" "I set it up when I was 19. They never knew it was me. $4,500 a month for 9 years. He did the math quickly. That's nearly $500,000. $486,000, I confirmed. Marcus was staring at me. "You never told me." "I didn't tell anyone. They needed help and I could provide it, so I did." Grandpa was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "Did they ever thank you? Ever acknowledge the help?" "They didn't know it was me. But they knew their financial situation improved dramatically. They knew they suddenly had extra money every month. Did they ever question it? Ever wonder? Ever think maybe they should be more careful with money that appeared out of nowhere?" I'd never thought about it that way. They just spent it, I said slowly. On cruises and shopping and spa days and helping Vanessa with her down payment and, I stopped. They helped Vanessa buy her house with my money. And when you were in a car accident with a 6-week-old baby, your mother couldn't spare 3 hours. Grandpa's voice was ice. She took your money for 9 years and couldn't give you 3 hours. He pulled out his phone. I'm making a call. You rest. He walked into the hallway but I could hear his voice through the door. Patricia, it's Dad. No, I'm not discussing the cruise again. I'm calling about something else. Something I just learned. Pause. Did you know Rebecca has been paying your mortgage for 9 years? Silence. Then Grandpa's voice again, harder. $4,500 a month, Patricia. $486,000 total. Your daughter, the one you called dramatic today, the one you refused to help, has been keeping you financially afloat since she was 19 years old. Another pause. She canceled the payments this afternoon. From her hospital bed. After you abandoned her and your granddaughter. I could hear my mother's voice now, shrill even through the phone. Grandpa let her talk for a moment. Then he said the words that changed everything. You have 24 hours to make this right, Patricia. 24 hours to apologize to your daughter, to meet your granddaughter properly, to show even a fraction of the gratitude and love she deserves. If you don't, I'm changing my will. Everything I plan to leave you, the house in Pasadena, the stocks, the savings bonds, all of it, goes to Rebecca and Emma instead. More shouting from the phone. I'm not bluffing. I already called Gerald Hoffman, my attorney. He's drafting the changes tomorrow morning. You think I'm going to leave my estate to someone who treats their own daughter like garbage? Who calls their granddaughter a consequence? His voice dropped. Your mother would be ashamed of you. I know I am. He hung up. Marcus and I sat in stunned silence. Grandpa walked back in looking 10 years older but somehow more determined. That woman is my daughter and I love her. But love doesn't mean accepting unacceptable behavior. Your grandmother taught me that. Grandpa, your will, you don't have to. It's already done in my mind. Whether she apologizes or not, you're getting the majority. But I'm giving her 24 hours because your grandmother would want me to give her daughter a chance to do the right thing. He kissed my forehead. Get some rest. I'm going to go meet my great-granddaughter. Marcus, text me the address of that care service. After he left, Marcus climbed carefully into the hospital bed next to me, holding me like I was made of glass. $500,000, he whispered. Babe, we could have paid off our house. I know. We could have started Emma's college fund years ago. I know. Why didn't you tell me? I was quiet for a long time. Because then I'd have to admit what I already knew. That I was paying for love that should have been free. That I was buying my parents' approval. That no matter how much money I gave them, it would never be enough to make them treat me the way they treat Vanessa. He held me tighter. I'm sorry, he said. For what? For not seeing it sooner. For not protecting you from them. You did protect me. You flew home from Dallas in the middle of your biggest presentation of the year. That's just basic human decency, Beck. That's the bare minimum. Exactly, I said. And my mother couldn't even manage that. My phone started ringing around 10 p.m. I declined the call. She called again. Declined. Then texts started coming through. Rebecca, we need to talk about this misunderstanding. Your grandfather is being completely unreasonable. I never said I wouldn't help. You didn't give me a chance to explain. You're tearing this family apart over a simple miscommunication. I blocked the number. Then my sister called. What the hell did you do? Vanessa's voice was sharp. Mom is hysterical. The cruise is cancelled. Grandpa is threatening to cut her out of the will. All because you got in a fender bender and Mom couldn't drop everything immediately. It wasn't a fender bender. I have 3 broken ribs and a fractured collarbone. Well, you're clearly fine enough to cause family drama. Do you know how much Mom was looking forward to this cruise? Do you know how hard she's been working? Working? I almost laughed. Vanessa, I've been paying their mortgage for 9 years. $4,500 every month. That's how Mom can afford not to work. That's how Dad retired early. That's how they helped you with your house down payment. Silence. You're lying. Check with Grandpa. Or better yet, ask Mom. Ask her where she thought that extra $4,500 a month was coming from for the past 9 years. Even if that's true. It is true. It doesn't give you the right to manipulate Grandpa. He's elderly. He's not thinking clearly. He's thinking more clearly than anyone. He sees exactly what Mom is. What you are. What I am. Her voice rose. I'm not the one blackmailing my own mother with Grandpa's inheritance. No, you're just the one who gets everything handed to you while I pay for it. The golden child who can do no wrong while I'm always the problem. I took a breath. I'm done, Vanessa. I'm done funding your lifestyle. I'm done being the family A-team. I'm done accepting scraps of attention while you get celebrated for existing. You're being insane. Mom loves you. Mom tolerates me as long as I'm useful. Today I learned exactly how much my usefulness is worth. 3 hours. She couldn't give me 3 hours for her granddaughter. She had plans. I had a head injury. Vanessa was quiet for a moment. Then, you know what? Fine. Keep Grandpa's money. Keep your victim mentality. But don't expect me to feel sorry for you when you end up alone because you pushed everyone away. She hung up. Marcus had been listening to the whole conversation. You okay? Actually, yeah. And I meant it. For the first time in a long time I feel like I can breathe. The next morning I was discharged with strict instructions to rest for 2 weeks. Marcus brought Emma to the hospital and I held my daughter for the first time since the accident. She was perfect. Healthy. Content. Claudia, the care specialist, had done an amazing job. She kept detailed notes about feeding times, diaper changes, sleep patterns. She'd even pumped and stored the breast milk the hospital had helped me express. You have a beautiful daughter, Claudia said as she gathered her things. And you're a strong mama. Not many women could make the calls you made from an ambulance. I had help. Thank you for being there when my own mother wouldn't. She smiled sadly. Family is who shows up. Remember that. We went home to flowers. Dozens of bouquets from friends, from Marcus's co-workers, from neighbors. Cards wishing me a speedy recovery. Nothing from my parents. Nothing from my sister. But there was something from Grandpa. A large box with a note. For Emma's future. Because she deserves grandparents who choose her first. Love, Grandpa Joe. Inside were savings bonds. $50,000 worth. I cried. The 24-hour deadline passed. No apology came. No phone call. No text. Grandpa's attorney called the next day to confirm the will had been changed. Rebecca Martinez and Emma Martinez were now the primary beneficiaries. My mother would receive $10,000, enough for a nice vacation but not enough to maintain the lifestyle my money funded. 2 weeks after the accident, my mother's mortgage payment bounced. Then their car payment. I know because she called from a number I didn't have blocked. Rebecca, there's been some kind of mistake with our mortgage. The payment didn't go through. Can you check your end? I took a deep breath. There's no mistake, Mom. I canceled the payments. What? Why would you? She stopped. Wait, that was you? All these years, that was you sending the money. Every month since I was 19. But we thought, your father's pension was barely enough to cover your utilities. I covered everything else. For 9 years. Rebecca, you can't just stop. We'll lose the house. We'll lose everything. Like I almost lost everything when that truck hit me. When I was alone in the ambulance, terrified, calling my mother for help and getting rejected. I apologized for that. I called Grandpa Ann. You called Grandpa to save your inheritance. You never apologized to me. Silence. Mom, you had 9 years of financial support from me. 9 years I gave freely, expecting nothing in return except maybe to be treated like I mattered. Like I was worth 3 hours of your time during a medical emergency. You couldn't even give me that. Rebecca, please. We're your parents. You can't just abandon us. The irony was so thick I almost choked on it. You abandoned me first. You abandoned your granddaughter. You made your choice when you chose a cruise over your daughter's emergency. Now I'm making mine. What about family loyalty? What about it? Where was your loyalty when I was being cut out of a car? Where was your loyalty when your 6-week-old granddaughter needed you? We can work this out. We can go to family therapy. We can. No. The word felt powerful. Final. I'm done working things out. I'm done being the only one who tries. I'm done paying for love that should be free. I hung up. The calls came in waves after that. Mom, Dad, Vanessa, even some cousins I barely knew. All of them with the same message. I was tearing the family apart. I was being vindictive. I was overreacting. Not one of them asked if I was okay. Not one asked about Emma. Not one acknowledged that my mother's refusal to help during a medical emergency was the actual problem. I blocked them all. Grandpa visited every week. He'd hold Emma and tell her stories about her great-grandmother. He'd ask about my recovery. He'd bring groceries and help around the house. "You're doing the right thing," he told me one afternoon. "It takes courage to walk away from toxicity even when it's family. Especially when it's family." Do you think she'll ever understand? Honestly, probably not. People like your mother, they see themselves as the victim in every story. You'll always be the ungrateful daughter who cut her off, not the generous child who supported her for years or the injured mother who needed basic help. That's sad. It is. But it's not your responsibility to fix her perspective. Your responsibility is to Emma. To yourself. To building the family you deserve. He was right. 3 months later, I heard through a mutual friend that my parents had downsized to a smaller condo. That they'd sold their car and bought something more economical. That my mother had taken a full-time bookkeeping job. They were learning to live within their actual means for the first time in 9 years. I felt no satisfaction in their struggles. But I felt no guilt either. 6 months after the accident, Marcus got promoted. We used his bonus to start Emma's college fund. The same $4,500 a month I'd been sending my parents now going into an account for our daughter. In 18 years, at that rate, Emma would have nearly $1 million for her education. $1 million she'd never have to pay back. $1 million given freely with love because that's what parents do. 1 year after the accident, I got a letter. Not from my mother but from my sister. "Rebecca, I'm writing because I finally understand what you tried to tell me. Mom asked me to start helping with their bills. She said it was temporary just until they got back on their feet. That turned into monthly requests for money. Then weekly. Then almost daily. She's asked me for $47,000 so far this year. I've given her $23,000. My husband is furious. My marriage is struggling. And when I told Mom I couldn't give any more, she called me selfish. I'm grateful. Just like she used to call you. I get it now. You weren't exaggerating. You weren't being dramatic. You were being used, and the moment you couldn't be useful anymore, you were disposable. I'm sorry I didn't believe you. I'm sorry I chose her over you. I understand if you never want to talk to me again. But I wanted you to know, you were right about everything. Your sister Vanessa." I read the letter 3 times. Part of me wanted to feel vindicated. To say, "I told you so." To welcome her into the club of daughters who'd finally seen through our mother's manipulation. But mostly I just felt tired. I wrote back. Not a long letter. Just a short note. "Vanessa, thank you for your honesty. I hope you find the courage to set boundaries like I did. You deserve better than being an ATM. I'm not ready to rebuild a relationship yet. Maybe someday. But I appreciate you acknowledging the truth. Take care of yourself, Rebecca." I didn't hear from her again. And that was okay. Emma is 2 years old now. She's funny and fierce and doesn't know anything about the grandmother who called her a consequence. She knows Grandpa Joe, who visits every Sunday and reads her the same stories he read to me. She knows Marcus's parents, who flew from Arizona to help when she had croup and never once complained. She knows family is the people who show up. Last week, we were at the park when another mother asked if Emma's grandparents ever visit. "Oh yes," I said, watching Emma giggle as Grandpa pushed her on the swing. "Her grandfather comes every week." "What about your parents?" I smiled. "That is my parent. The one who matters." The woman looked confused but didn't press. "Here's what I've learned in the 2 years since that car accident. Some people will only value you for what you provide. The moment you stop providing it, they'll show you exactly who they are. Believe them. Don't waste years trying to earn love that should have been freely given." I think about that $486,000 sometimes. $500,000 I'll never get back. Money that could have changed my life in a dozen different ways. But I also think about what I gained by cutting them off. Peace. Self-respect. A clear understanding of my worth. A family built on genuine love rather than obligation and guilt. That's worth more than any dollar amount. My mother sends a card every year on Emma's birthday. I don't open them. They go straight into a box in the garage. Maybe one day Emma will want to know about that side of her family. Maybe she'll want to read them. But right now she's got everything she needs. Parents who choose her every single day, a great-grandfather who adores her, and a future funded by love instead of guilt. If there's someone out there listening to this who's been the family ATM, who's been paying for love that should be free, who's been diminished and dismissed and told they're dramatic when they express legitimate needs, I want you to know something. You are not obligated to fund your own mistreatment. You are not required to finance people who refuse to show up for you. You are allowed to keep your money, your time, and your energy for people who actually value you. And if walking away means losing people who only loved what you could give them, you weren't losing family. You were losing users. There's a difference. My name is Rebecca Martinez. I'm 30 years old. I'm a mother, a wife, and a granddaughter. I used to be a daughter and a sister too, but I'm learning that DNA doesn't make you family. Loyalty does. Respect does. Showing up does. 2 years ago, my mother refused to watch my newborn during my car accident because she had cruise tickets. Now she works full-time to afford a life she used to take for granted. My grandfather changed his will to protect the granddaughter who needed protecting. Me. I'm thriving. We're thriving. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's building a beautiful life with people who actually deserve to be in it. If you found strength in this story, drop a comment below and let me know where you're listening from. And if you've set similar boundaries with toxic family members, you're not alone. We're all out here building better families one choice at a time.